In this lesson, we're going to really quickly hop in and set up and configure your taxes in Sprout Studio. I have Sprout open here to the settings section, and we're going to go into pricing and then into taxes here. Now, if you remember during Startup Wizard, there was a choice for you to specify how much your tax was, and whatever you set up there would have been added into this new one here called tax. Let's go ahead and open that up and set it up. Now, again, by default, whatever you put in the percentage would have been put in there. It would have just been called tax, and there's no tax number here. So if you need to now hop on in here, you can specify the name of the tax the way you want it showing up on the invoice. I'm in Canada here, so I'm going to have one called HST. I'm actually going to change that to 13%. And then what you can do here is put in your tax number, and that will show up on the invoices for your clients. I'm going to go ahead and press save. Now, one of the things that's really neat about Sprout is that we've built it to allow multiple taxes. So I can go ahead and add another tax, and I'm going to call this one PST. And for Canadians, they'll be familiar with how this is set up. In some provinces, they have PST and GST, and then they combine to be HST. So I'm going to go ahead and just actually set this up just to show you. So I now have PST. I'm going to have another one called GST, and that's going to be 8%, or I'm sorry, 5%. I'm going to put in my tax number. There we go. And as you can see here, those are both single taxes. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new one that groups both of those together. So I'm going to go ahead and say add tax grouping, and we're going to call this PST plus GST. I'd probably call it HST, but I already have one called HST, so I'm going to leave that one alone. So I'm going to go ahead and grab GST, and I'm going to grab PST, and I'm going to save it. And there we go. So now that's a tax group. So now I have that one, I have the individual ones, and then I have HST set up here. So that's how you can set up your taxes. The last option here is that how you can tell Sprout how you want your invoices and your taxes to be calculated. So you can either have Sprout add the tax only on the final invoice if you have an order with multiple invoices. Let's say it's a wedding payment plan and you have $1,500 due upon payment or upon booking, and then you have a 50% and then the remaining balance the month maybe after the wedding. You can have Sprout calculate it so that the tax is only added onto that final invoice once the services are all rendered and the payment is finally due. Otherwise, you can say, hey, calculate it on each individual invoice and payment. So it totally depends on how you want to have it set up. This is a bookkeeping discussion and conversation. Recommend having it with your bookkeeper or your accountant to see which makes sense for you, but both options are there for you. And that's how you set up and configure your taxes here in Sprout Studio.